Hey y'all, welcome back. We are in the swing of fall, and I want to share with you how I create this really beautiful, neutral, leaning cool tone look that I can wear to work, polish, put together look that shouldn't take you longer than about 15 minutes. I'm also going to share with you how I achieved this hairstyle and what fragrance I'm wearing. So without further hesitation, let's get into this video. I've already done my base makeup, and to keep my base makeup pretty simple, I have been layering the Eldridge Seamless Skin Tint in the shade T3 with my MAC Studio Fix Pressed Powder in NC15. For an everyday work look, I tend to start with my eye makeup. The last couple days, I have been absolutely in love with my ColourPop That's Taupe palette. I have had this palette for quite a while, and I've not really shown it a lot of love until now, and I've really come to appreciate it for simple, everyday makeup looks. When I'm doing my base makeup, I go ahead and apply my powder foundation to my eyelid to act as a base, and that way I can go in with my colors and start sculpting. So the first one I use is the shade Beaute, which is a light taupe, and I pick that up with the BK Beauty number 201 large fluffy crease brush. Whisking that into my socket line, I like to start add most of the product here in the outside corner of my eye, back and forth, pull in, pulling over to the bridge of my nose. I like to do this as like a 2-for-1 motion, so that way I'm getting shape to my socket, but since this is a skin native shadow color, I can pull it into the inner eye to use as a bit of nose contour, and blending it here into my brow allows me to kind of feather and blow that color out. Goss number 18. Compared to the BK Beauty, it is a smaller brush and it's slightly more pitched. This is going to give me a wash of color, but it's going to be a smaller placement. So that way I can give my eyes a little bit more shape, but keep it very light. So for this, I normally mix together Pebble Beach, which is the slightly warmer brown, and then the shade Python, which is almost like a mauvey brown. And when I pick up the shade, I go into Python, Pebble Beach, and then back into Python because I want the eye to be slightly cooler in undertone. And then tapping off most of the product, I place here on the outer corner of my eye and then pat down, pulling at an angle and then pulling up into my socket. For every day, I really enjoy a little bit of drama on the eyes, but I don't want anything too intense. I like to create a little bit of shape with more skin adjacent shades. So that way it gives me that shapely drama I want to the eyes, but it doesn't overtake. Next, I'm gonna use my Sephora 12-hour colorful crayon eye pencil. This is the shade number 51 Stone, and I use this to tightline my upper lash line. When I'm tightlining my eyes, instead of going all the way from the outer corner of my eye to the inner corner, I start where my lashes start to grow, and then I take it to the point where they stop growing. So that way, I'm really accentuating my lash line instead of creating this dark frame across the top of my eyes. Now, here at my desk, I always like to keep on hand a little pointed cotton bud, so that way if I get any eyeliner transfer, I can quickly remove it. If you are someone who wants a nice deep gray like Urban Decay Smoke or Lisa Eldridge Cinder Smoke, but you want a shade that, one, more affordable, and I find it a little bit more transfer resistant, I cannot recommend the Sephora collection eyeliners enough. They are so beautiful. Going back to my little ColourPop palette, I start with the shade Snake Eyes, which is the mauvey taupe in the middle, and using my index finger, I pat this right over my eyelid, starting in the center, taking it to the inner corner, and then using my finger just to trace my socket line. For every day, I have been going back to my Clé de Peau highlighter. This is the shade number 14, Delicate Pink. This exact shade is no longer available, but there are similar shades. And when I've swatched the newer shades or formula in person, they are quite similar to this one. So if you want a really beautiful highlighter that gives your skin a glow, gives it a gleam, but isn't too stark, the clay to Peau is really beautiful, and you need such a small amount. Using a smaller brush, this is a Dior number 21 flat shader, and I pick up a mix of all the different shades in the highlighter, and I like to use this to highlight the inner corner of my eye. Using my highlighter to highlight the inner corner of my eye will just make my eye makeup feel more cohesive with the rest of my face makeup. And I also like to use the side of this brush to go right under where I took that socket in here to shape out the front of my brow or nose contour area. It sharpens up that line ever so slightly, but it just makes it feel a little bit softer. Then I'm gonna go back to my first brush, the BK Beauty 201, gently blend over, and then going back to the That's Taupe palette, I'm gonna use the lightest shimmery shade called Slated. This shade is a lot more of an intense shine compared to the first shimmer, so I'm gonna use this as a spot highlighter right over the ball of my eye. Going right into mascara. All of my other mascaras have gotten dry as they've hit their 3-month mark, so they're out, and I brought in a new mascara. So this is going to be my first time using this Tartelette tubing mascara, and I have the shade brown. Off the bat, oh my goodness, this packaging is so weighty. This feels really luxurious in the hand, and this metallic purple is really nice. I don't think I've ever felt this way about a mascara, but it's nice and heavy, and it feels good in the hand. This feels very luxurious, which I love. Since this is a tubing mascara, I am just gonna try to do all of the building at one go, because I find when you try to build up and layer in multiple coats, they don't always layer too well. So I try to get the lash look I want on one go, in that way that can fully dry and form those little tubes. That went on and applied quite well. Compared to something like my Maybelline Sky High mascara or even the e.l.f. Lash and Roll, this definitely does feel a little bit more of like a wet mascara formula. So if you're someone who's prone to having transfer from your upper lashes to your lower lashes, having a little cotton bud on hand will help you to tidy that up, so that way nothing flakes or transfers. And if you're someone who finds it happens a lot, sometimes I like to take the side of my Q-tip and almost roll it right under the root of the lash. While I'm giving my lashes a moment to dry, I'm gonna use my Benefit Precisely My Brow Wax in Tint number 1 and just get my eyebrows in the shape I want them to be in. I'm gonna give my eyes just a moment. This side is wanting to transfer more than this side. I might have got a little too much mascara right at the base, which no worry. If I see it happening, I can just go through and continue to clean up. And if I need to patch up, I can patch up. Now that I've got my eye makeup on, I wanna go through, use my blending brush, soften out the edges of my eyeshadow, just a pinch, and then I will run my brush right under. Now I'm ready to finish off my face makeup. First thing I'm gonna do is use my Clay to Peau highlighter on my cheeks. And for every day, I really love using the little applicator that comes in these little highlighters. They just deposit just a really nice amount of product, but they never overdo it on the cheeks. Also, I have no idea why before I started this video, I thought it was a good idea to only pin back one side of my hair, because now I'm having to like push back the other side. We will make it work. The part where I need to move my hair is almost over with anyway. Next, I'm gonna apply a little bit of blush, and I am back in love with my Clinique Cheek Pop in the shade number 14 Heather Pop. This is a really beautiful muted mauve pink. It is more neutral depending on your skin tone. It can feel a little bit more warm or a little bit more cool. With my hair tone being a little bit more on the neutral warm side, and my outfits tend to be more on the cool side, I like these more neutral blushers as something to tie in everything. And I always like take a little bit on the nose, on the chin. And I like using these almost like burnt muted blushers to take place of a bronzer, because everything with me goes in seasons. There's some times when I really love bronzer. There's times I don't want to use it. I just want to contour. Right now, the last 2-3 weeks, I'm in my, I'd rather use bronzy brushes, which are more muted, almost burnt rose shades. I'll go through and top with a blusher that has a little bit of a light reflect. Chanel Joues Contraste Blush 170 Rose Glacier. This blush has quite a bit of color payoff, so just using a small amount high up. This is going to overlap with the blush and the highlighter, and this is going to give us like a really beautiful mid-tone. A little bit here, a little bit here. Now I am going to line my lips using my MAC lip pencil in the shade Dervish. This is one of my longtime favorites. And for everyday, I really like to overdraw my lips, but more so color them in, and I really love the formula of the MAC lip pencils. I recently saw they brought out some new shades. I'm not sure if they changed the formula at all for the MAC lip pencils, but I'm very excited to try them. And Dervish is almost like a My Lip but better, My Lip but slightly more of a neutral mauve pink. Such a beautiful shade. I saw recently MAC relaunch the lip pencils. I don't know, like I was saying, I don't know if they changed the formula, but they have new shades, which I'm really excited to check out. And they also took away some of the other lipstick formulas. I think it's the Creme Sheen, the Satin, and possibly the Amplified, and they've all rolled them together in this new like maximal satin finish. I'm very excited to check that out because they've redone some shades that I love, like Creme Cup, Blankety. Peau might have been one of the ones that's not in this release. There's another shade, I can't think of it, but I'm excited to check those out. I'm going to the mall later, so I'm excited to check out and see if they have them at MAC. For lips, I'm going to be using a MAC Powder Kiss lipstick. This is in the shade 304 Sultriness. Depending on your skin tone, it can either pull neutral or slightly warm. For me, it tends to be a pretty much down the road in the middle neutral pink. And if you've not tried the MAC Powder Kiss formula, they are a really beautiful take on like a K-beauty matte lipstick. It's a very smoothing, blurring, almost like fudgy feeling lipstick, and they are so lovely, and they really kind of stain the lips and stay for quite a bit. For everyday, I do like to tone down this lip, so I like to add a slightly more muted gloss on top, and I've got two I've been reaching for lately. I have the Lisa Eldridge Gloss Embrace in the shade Muse, and the NARS Afterglow Lip Shine. This is in the shade Nympho. I know I've used this on my channel. I don't know if I've ever used the NARS, so we are going to use this. NARS Nympho is a really interesting gloss. It's almost like a taupey brown gray with a little bit of a rose. A shade that if you are someone who falls into either soft autumn, soft summer, and you like those more muted, slightly grungy tones, this is so beautiful. Or if you want to wear a slightly brighter lipstick and you want to tone it down, make it a little bit more muted, a little bit more kind of almost lived-in feeling, this is a great shade to apply over other things. To finish off, I'm going to use fragrance, and the fragrance I've been loving for the last few days, and I'm thinking about it all the time now that the weather's cooled down a little bit. This is from Amouage. This is part of their garden, I think it was the Garden Love collection or something like that. This is called Lilac Love, and the packaging on this is slightly different now, but it is so beautiful. It does have a lilac note to it given the name, but there's also a little bit of a rose. There's a nice creamy vanilla, and there is this trace of like a cocoa powder. There's something about it that feels like almost edible and sexy. I really love it. For my hair, all I do is between washes, when I first wash my hair, dry it, and I go to style it, I like to think about what type of style am I going to use for the next 4 to 5 days? With a unit like this, you don't want to wash it all the time. Normally 3 to 4, 5 wears, depending on how like sweaty and oily your hair gets, is a really good indicator of how often you need to wash your wig. When I wash and dry this, I'm someone, I want to plan and see what I've got coming up. That way I can style my hair around it. So for this one, I did more of a loose lived-in wave, something that as it wears and as it falls, it will be easier to manage. So I went through most of it with a 1-inch curling iron and did a loose twist wave. Then I went back over some pieces with an 1.5-inch curling iron to soften it, and keeping most of the wave kind of between the eye and the cheekbone area to draw attention to this face and create a softer effect. I might go up and touch another piece or two, but this is the look. For the outfit, I'm just wearing a simple like cowl neck with this gray cardigan and a multi-layered necklace, and then just my standard jewelry. Until we see each other again, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world. Bye, y'all.